So the newest entry in the Evil Dead movie series came out last week. Went and saw it Thursday night as soon as I possibly could, and watching it, I after we were done, I was like, I got to talk about this, and I think I know the first person that I want to talk to about it, and I shot this gentleman right here, Chris Scott from Grindhouse Toys. I shot you a message, and I was like, look, I don't know if and when you're gonna see Evil Dead burn, but once you do, I want to talk about it. And your response was,
I had just literally finished it. And the credits hadn't even hit yet. They just started, but like the after credits hadn't hit. So I'm laughing as I check my phone, and I'm like, yeah, he knew who to message.
yeah, exactly. There was something about it that just struck me as, because we had a brief conversation about Evil Dead Rise, at I think it was at Joe Lanta maybe last year,
or Joe, yeah.
Just a real quick exchange about it, but after watching this one, I was like, man, I feel like you're the guy to talk to. But before we get to Evil Dead talk, which, by the way, for anybody watching or listening right now, we're going to be talking about all the movies, the toys, like all things Evil Dead, but not in like great detail. We're going to do kind of overview type stuff wherever the conversation goes. But this is going to be all Evil Dead, and then we'll finish with kind of what we thought about Evil Dead Burn. But before we get to all that, we got to get an update. Speaking of horror, speaking of gruesome, visceral things, what's going on with World War Hell right now?
Well, it's still going strong. You know, we had our newest check models over at Joe Fest. We got to show off, which was awesome. And man, they just feel so good. Like just even being 3D printed check models from the factory, not actual plastic samples yet. I'm just having a blast, like playing around with them, and you know, just little things. Like I thought it was so funny because Scott Brown from he worked on Operation Recall with why can't I think of her name right now? Run Back. He did the concept for Run Back, and so he is like the master with O-ring GI Joes, and he just really like goes deep into it. And so the other day he did a whole thing on how everybody could sit, like vintage Joes, any O-ring figure, how do they sit, like full on sit? And so I was that's a good call. So there's a funny picture. I'll have to post it, but I took the demon from World War Hell, the Harbinger of Doom, without all the gear on, no Steamboat Willie costume, just full demon, you know, reversed knee, legs, and everything. And he's just sitting there. He looks like he's just like patting right next to him, like, come on, come sit down next to me. It's so funny. And so, yeah, we're just if like based upon that, like the articulation and everything, man, people are just going to be so blown away. And I really can't wait for everybody to get these.
Well, that is something that we've seen in other modern O-ring lines, is the initially the sitting factor is kind of overlooked, and I can't remember which one, and there's no need to name names anyway,
of course,
but one of the other lines, their first releases couldn't get that full 90 degree because the legs didn't move up into the crotch piece like quite properly. Because I get it, you're looking at so many other things that are vital to the functionality of the figure that sitting down isn't necessarily one of the things you're focused on.
Yeah, no, you don't think about certain things like that too. And like you said, yeah. And so that's why I love, like, you know, confiding into Scott or other people too, just to be like, hey, what do you think about this? You know, do you have any thoughts? You know, you can't keep everything just right here because, yeah, you miss stuff. You're so excited because, overseeing this and this and this, you know, you want to make sure the toy's the perfect thing that, you know, you can release. And so it's very awesome to have good friends that love all of this and are as passionate about it as you are. And, you know, we don't miss anything.
Well, and that's huge. Is so many of these independent toy lines are, you know, at the very least based around one person's vision, and having multiple sets of eyes to take a look at what you're doing and your work and your progress. Because I think as a creator, you can get so focused in sometimes that you know what you want to see and you see it, and somebody else needs to come along and say, yeah, but does that elbow do the right thing? You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah,
Well,
we are going strong, and I can't wait to have. I'm really hoping maybe we can have the test shots by maybe Joe Lanta. I mean, I wouldn't see why not to have the first round of test shots by then, which would be amazing because that way we will hopefully hold out hope for delivery by the end of the year is what my goal is right now. But I also don't want to rush. I don't want to be like, well, something's a little off here. We'll just send it anyways. Like, no, I want these to be perfect through and through. So we're still aiming for the end of the year, but it should be pretty good.
well, and that's over and over again. I've said this. I would rather the product be what it's supposed to be than get it by some arbitrary due date. We've waited multiple years for some of these O-rings, and so far they've all been worth it. Yep. And I would rather have a year or two or whatever to wait and get great, exciting product than, well, no, we wanted to make sure we got it out on time. So the knees don't bend, but there's your figure.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is a foundation, like, I don't know if a lot of people, think about it this way, but like, especially your first wave, like you this is what you're building upon. That's your parts library. That's what you're building everything on top of that. And you're only as good as that first figure. And, why put yourself in a box if you just to, like you said, meet some made up deadline. Like, it's not a big deal. Like, sure, I want these figures now if I could have them, but I also want to make sure the care. There's so many people who've put their heart and souls into this. We got to make the perfect toy. So,
well, and also, making the first impression with the customer. If your first wave, or even a couple of figures from your first wave are under par, then you set a standard for their expectations for you. And going forward, it's going to be a lot harder to convince them that, they should spend their money on your product.
Absolutely. And ours being a premium figure, like I've always kind of looked at World War Hell as kind of like a Mezco level O-ring figure, like you have like a Mezco or a premium type figure in the 1/12 scale, with all the accessories, all the paint apps, all the stuff that we're doing in the O-ring form factor. Like, if you want something that's $20, $25, you can get Super 7 or some of the other figure lines, which are great. And I collect a lot of that stuff as well. But I want to make sure you get that value for what you're putting a lot of money into it. Like, I sit here sometimes when I'm buying like a classified or something, I'm like, oh, it's $40 now for this or that. And I'm like, oh man, my figures are $39. But I don't want you to ever, I don't want you to ever think that, oh man, like, I spent $40 on this. Like, I want it to be worth it. And that's why the whole packaging thing was so important too, is like, I want everybody to be like, this is the coolest thing before they even open it. But then as soon as you open it, you're like, wow, like, I want it to continually blow you away.
Well, and this is a conversation we've been having on the shows lately, particularly with me, is I'm getting to the point where, and look, I still love classified output. I'm still a big fan of that line, still buying most of what they put out. But I am getting to a point where I get like an Operation Monster Force figure and I open it up and I'm like, man, I feel good about the money that I spent on this figure. And then I get a classified figure and I'm like, I'm not sure I see $28 here. So that is, and that's an advantage of being outside of a corporate structure, is the creative decisions and the ability to control your output, what the public gets in the end. Because, having talked to some of the Hasbro folks at Joe Fest, I got an idea that as a creator, the excitement level you have for this thing that you're making is so high. And to think of, because we've all dealt with corporate structures before, and that filter that's between the very best a thing can be and the most profitable a thing can be. And that filter sucks.
It does. Absolutely does. And it hurts. And that's why I've been so fortunate to get to work on, of course, on my own thing, but like working on Monster Force. It's been so awesome working with Bill Murphy because, Bill, Bill's like, hey, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, we should do this. And be like, all right, do it. Like, it's not like, oh, well, we got to watch this. We can't do that. We can't put that paint in there. We can't add this soft goods. And he swings for the fences. And it's been so awesome to have somebody that, believes in the toy and the action figures. And so that's the beauty of being in the indie circle, where, it's not a bunch of bean counters being like, nope, 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 we can't do that. And so it's been freeing.
And that's not to say that great products don't make it through at Mattel and Hasbro and other companies.
Oh, no, yeah.
They do. They for sure do. But I think it's you're playing with a different set of parameters to make it happen.
Yes. And I mean, and I have a desk right now full of classified sitting here that I've opened from the newest wave. Like, I'm still having a great time. Like the Sundown, that's a fantastic figure. Like, I love new figures, and they put a lot of time and effort into that thing. You could tell. I bet they probably threw a little bit more at it with some of the paint, but a lot got through, and it came out great.
Well, and I'm excited about. The Synapse, I think, is the cyborg crazy. Very excited to see that one too. I'm glad that we're getting to see some original ideas from Lenny and company.
Yes,
that are making it to the shelf before now we get to see really what those guys have in store. I'm so excited for them being at Boss Fight.
Same. I can't wait to see what kind of projects they work on. I didn't get to talk I only got to talk to Lenny for a little while at Joe Fest, so I didn't get to pick his brain too much. Hopefully at Comic-Con I'll get to talk to him a little bit more, and we'll see.
I got to Noel and I talked to Lenny and Corey for a good little while. Toys did not come up though. We were completely talking about other stuff, but I'm wrangling. Well, and that's the cool thing about Joe Fest is you never know what you're going to end up talking to anybody about. But I am wrangling both of them into doing interviews, hopefully within the next couple of months. So that's exciting to be happening. Fun. But all right, that's enough toy talk. Well, it's not enough toy talk because we're going to talk about Evil Dead toys too.
Yes.
But let's put business aside and let's talk about Evil Dead. And we got to start with what was the first Evil Dead experience you had?
So I started a little late in the Evil Dead world, surprisingly. Not super late. It was still high school, but it was freshman year, I believe. No, maybe a sophomore year, because I've had this shirt since then, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
My daughter's actually stolen it, and I had to take it back. I was like, give it back. I'm wearing it for the show tonight. And so, but I've had it for that long. So my buddy, I was in a band back in high school, and he turned me on to a lot of different things that I just fell in love with instantly. Like, of course, Tarantino movies or Kevin Smith. I don't know how I'd missed so much. I guess I did. I was a little sheltered middle schooler, but in 9th grade, 10th grade, he had said, and I'd heard of Evil Dead. I'd heard of Army of Darkness, but I didn't know what it was, and I hadn't watched it yet for some reason.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom was a big horror fan, and so I said, "Oh, have you seen Evil Dead?" And she's like, "No." So we went and rented them all, came home, and watched the original Evil Dead, and I was blown away, of course, because it is so well done. Sam Raimi did such an amazing job with that movie. I loved it. My mom actually thought, "Oh, it's pretty good too," which I was surprised, because she's got she would have how she thought of movies or how she judged movies. If it was a little stupid or campy, she would really call it out. So I was like, okay, she likes this original. We watched Evil Dead 2, and we lost her. And I was like, this is the greatest movie I've ever watched. And so my life was changed in that moment. But it was hilarious to see my mother, making fun of it. And then, of course, Army of Darkness then really went off the rails for her. But I was like, this is how has it taken me this long to find these beautiful movies? And they've been a part of my life ever since.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It might have been high school for me. It might have been freshman, sophomore year, somewhere around there. I'm not sure. But I know the first one I saw was Evil Dead 2.
Okay.
And I got it from, I don't think it was Blockbuster. I think it was the movie store, which was still a chain, but was a little cooler than Blockbuster, but
a little more risque compared to the of Blockbuster.
Right. And they carried a little more hardcore stuff than Blockbuster did. But I think at the time I rented it, I don't think Evil Dead was available, like even to rent on VHS, because it wasn't, I think it wasn't until Anchor Bay did their first release of it that Evil Dead was like widely available in that way.
That sounds about
I could be off on that, but I know that I rented Evil Dead 2 first because that skull with the eyeball on the cover, which I have a tattoo of.
So
that cover like got me. So even though it was the second one, I just rented it and absolutely fell in love with it because the gore, the humor of it, just everything about it, and of course Bruce Campbell is just magnetic.
Oh, absolutely.
So it wasn't until later. I'm trying to place the timeline in my head now because Army of Darkness came out in 93, I think.
92 or 93, yeah.
And I know I saw it before high school was over, but that's weird to me because in my head, Army of Darkness like really only existed as VHS once I was aware of it, but it had to be because it was after Darkman.
I believe so, right? Because Darkman
was 90, yeah, and Army of Darkness was 92 or 93. So that's weird because I adored Darkman. Darkman was one of those movies where, because it was when it came out, I wasn't quite at the I know about directors yet. Like I knew Tim Burton because of Batman, and I knew like a couple of directors, but I wasn't quite in the I know this director's name and I'm going to follow them now yet. But I knew Darkman. And I don't honestly know if Sam Raimi registered with me, though. I think I just loved Darkman.
That's good.
I don't know if I connected all of that. But anyway, saw Army of Darkness, and the first time I watched it, I thought it was too goofy. Like it was
didn't have the horror.
Yeah, well, it does a bit, but the humor definitely is a bigger part of it. But now I love it. It's actually, I have that movie poster tattooed on me as well. And when I met Bruce Campbell in 2001, I had him sign it and got that tattooed on me.
I didn't know that. That's so cool.
And I believe it's the first time he had done it because he asked me, he said, wait, do you want my real signature? Since you're getting this tattooed on you, do you want my real signature or do you want the Zsa Zsa? I didn't know what he was talking about. And my buddy who had told me about the signing, because the signing was, it was for If Chins Could Kill. I think that came out. I think that's what it was for.
That's his first book, right?
Yeah. And I think it was, we were at a bookstore and I brought the big McFarlane 18-inch Ash figure.
Yep. I used to have that.
I brought that, so I have that. He signed the blade of the chainsaw on that. I feel like I brought something else. I guess probably a copy of the book. But anyway, he signed that. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And my buddy Noel, who's the one who told me about the signing, like an hour before it happened. I didn't know anything about it. He called me up and he was like, Dave, you know Bruce Campbell signing at whatever the bookstore was? And I was like, no, I don't. And so I hadn't taken a shower that day. I don't remember if I worked or what, but I threw clothes on and drove down there, made a like 35-minute drive in like 15 minutes and got in the line thinking the whole time I was going to miss it. But if you know Bruce Campbell, you know that especially back in the day, if he was booked for an hour signing, he would stay for 3 to make sure everybody not only got their stuff signed, but had a meaningful interaction with him. And it was absolutely incredible. But anyway, so the Zsa Zsa is his professional signature, like what he signs photographs with. It's like you can barely tell it says Bruce Campbell, but it's just his, that's what he does.
It's
so that's why he asked, he was like, this is serious business. I don't want to give my bullshit celebrity 8x10 signature. If that's not, and I was like, no, if that's your working signature, that's what I want. And he was like, all right, it's on you, buddy. And he signed it. And then he dated it, which I hadn't even thought of. And I was like,
that's cool.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's actually Let's see. It is September 20th, 2001.
That's
So
amazing.
it's really cool. So anyway, to get back to Army of Darkness, first time I saw it, it was a little too goofy, but then I watched it again and again and again, and now 200 times later, I love it. But I didn't see the first Evil Dead until probably whenever that Anchor Bay release happened. I might have even been working at Suncoast Video at the time, because I hit Suncoast in the sweet spot of when Anchor Bay was getting big and all of those weird special editions, like the Tens and the Necronomicon books that they did.
Oh yeah,
all of that stuff was coming out. So I might not have seen it until then, which would have been like 98 or 99. And the first time I saw it, it was too serious. Because the second one, right. But by that time, I was a huge Evil Dead fan and a huge fan of Sam Raimi and whatever else. So like I adjusted my brain to like, okay, that's what this movie is. And then, of course, you watch all the extras about the making of and how grueling it was. And like the real grueling horror is the making of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even the movie itself. So
well, it shows through, it comes through on the screen.
Oh yeah,
stuff like that. Texas Chainsaw style. It's you
yes.
put the actors through hell, and especially low budget like that, where you're working crazy amounts of hours and like sweltering heat or anything in that nature, or super cold or any of that stuff, or being covered in buckets of blood like they were. I mean, it had to be a lot. So hard.
Well, and you can see they're only doing it because of passion. They're only doing it because they are compelled to create. They have no choice but to create. And that's a huge, it does come through on the screen.
It does.
So with in those original things, it was all like mid 90s discovering and really it becoming a part of my personality because I connected so much and over rewatching those, the dead serious to funny to almost absolute camp is a progression that I can appreciate because I've kind of undergone that in my adult life.
Yeah.
Because coming out of high school, and I feel like a lot of guys around my age can probably identify, coming out of high school, I feel like there's this, you have to be very serious about everything that you do. And it must mean something, and you have to be straightforward and blah, blah. Like it's everything has to be taken so seriously because you want to be taken seriously. And then you kind of ease up a little bit and you get a little like, oh, okay, maybe it's okay to have a little bit more fun, to enjoy a little sillier music, some goofier movies, to embrace some more stuff. And now that I'm older, the goofier the better, the sillier the better. Like it's funny that arc translates in that way for me.
Yeah. That's
fantastic. On what level do you connect with the movie, with those first three movies?
2 is mine. Like 2 is, and it's funny because, watching 1 first and then watching 2, like literally, like, I don't know if it was the same night or the next day. I can't remember, but it's definitely jarring, it's actually kind of good. I think that you watched 2 first because going back, like going from 1 and then they retell that story in 2, you're like, what the hell? Like, wait a second, where'd everybody go? And knowing later that the rights there was issues with the rights, so they had to like how they had to shoot it. But no, 2, I connect. That's still one of my all-time favorite movies of all time. It's just the character arc. Ash in that house going, like the night where he's by himself practically, like everything's just going wrong for him, and like Bruce Campbell just does an amazing job showing that lunacy and the craziness that's him losing his mind, and playing it up to laughs too. It's beautiful. And Army of Darkness I love, but also because it is like, I mean, my son and I were talking about this the other night. It's definitely the most quotable of all of the movies, like easy. But I still yearn for, I love the campiness, but I wanted more. It feels like it's a PG-13 movie if you watch it, like there's not enough gore, I feel, in it for it to be Evil Dead as much. And I mean, I guess that maybe makes sense why it's Army of Darkness. I love the idea of it, him going back into time and, having to fight the Deadites then. But I just wish it still had that gore of Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2. And that's something they kind of mixed perfectly in the TV show, I feel.
Yeah.
The gore with the humor. But yeah, I connect definitely with 2 as just, it's perfect. That movie's a perfect movie. The hand, I mean, come on, like just his severed hand and like just anything like that. But, and as you can see, it has kind of bled into all the things I try to create as well now. And it's inspired the hell out of me.
It is its own aesthetic. And I was trying, once we start talking about Burn in a little bit, we'll get more into that. But Burn got me thinking, what is Evil Dead's trademark? Like, what for the franchise? Because the movies have ranged anywhere from dead serious to laugh out loud, Three Stooges stuff.
Yep.
And yet they share something that's recognizable, like, yes, this feels right. And I think it's the over-the-top element. The moments of, I can't fucking believe that just happened.
Yes.
And I think that's where, with the last 3 movies, while tonally perhaps they feel different from what's come before, certainly from Army of Darkness and Ash versus Evil Dead.
Yeah.
But they still, to me, feel like Evil Dead, like they got it. So it's a matter of what, would you agree that it's that over the top, like that just happened, that's maybe the magic component?
It's the moments, yeah, like that, like having those, like, holy crap, like the things that stick with you. It could be hilarious, like there's something in, like, again, Evil Dead 2, like when the blood is like pouring out of like the wall and just splashing him, like just drowning him in blood, and then turns to black, and then it sucks back up into the wall, and he's standing there. That's hilarious, but you remember that, it sticks with you. But also a cheese grater in Evil Dead Rise is going to stick with you as well. You know what I mean? So like, it's not funny, but it's still over the top. And like you said, it's the over the topness, the just like, holy shit, that just happened. And
the shock to the system.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with those 3, Evil Dead 2 for a long, long time was my favorite. It felt like the most centered. It felt, and the other cool thing about it is, like, the first Evil Dead was really kind of more a traditional ensemble cast horror movie, where it was really about all those characters we met at the beginning. Whereas Evil Dead 2 was clearly like, all right, Bruce, buckle up, because this one's on you, buddy. And he did it. He absolutely carried it. So then after Army of Darkness, it kind of feels like, I guess we're done. That's it. Yep. Nothing else is going to happen, because Bruce Campbell had a number of other projects. He had the Xena guest spot. Then we get Briscoe County, which is incredible. Yep. Jack of all trades. And then, several other movie appearances. I mean, he's working. He's doing a lot of work. Sam Raimi, meanwhile, gets his success with Spider-Man.
Yep.
And blows up. So everybody's working, and it seems like, and honestly, I haven't seen any recent interviews that I recall specifically talking about this era, but it does seem like, well, we're taking a break from that. I don't think there was ever any intent, like, we're never going to get back to it. But it did feel like, well, let's let everybody do their own thing for a while. And I think a while just ended up being longer than they anticipated it being.
Yeah, I think so too. And like, because I remember kind of scouring the internet and stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s, trying to see like what's going on, what's going on with any of this. Are we going to get anything else? Is anything new going to come? And I remember reading something that there was like the studio was trying to do like, I guess this would have been early 2000s then, when they did Freddy versus Jason. And there was like rumors out there that they wanted to do an Ash versus Freddy versus Jason. And I remember reading an interview with Bruce Campbell, and he's like, well, if I can't win, I'm not going to do it, kind of thing. Like, I should win. and I laugh and I love that. But like, man, that would have been so cool to watch. Like, Freddy and Jason take on Ash, but just if you had the right guy creating it, of course. But like, I don't know, as in that time period, I just remember being like, oh my god, that would be so cool, because Ash was now my hero. Like, this was this guy that he's not the stereotypical hero. He's not I mean, he has a chiseled jaw, but man, he screws everything up, and he is a complete asshole most times. And I love how Bruce Campbell brings, the human nature, I guess, to the hero trope, and it's just so good.
Well, and that's I was actually the other night, like, ran through in my head, because this happens to me all the time, the script of what a Ash Jack Burton team up would look like.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
Because imagine those two assholes trying to save the day, and I what it would have to be, it would have to be like 1988 or 9-ish, and Jack Burton ends up going through Ash's town, because Ash, aside from going back to the past, Ash has never left that town.
Yeah, he always wants to go to Jacksonville, but
yeah. So it would have to be Jack Burton going to that town. There's something there. There's some magic there. But so 2013, we finally get a new Evil Dead.
Yes.
Now, initially, I was disappointed that it was not a continuation, that Bruce Campbell was not going to be involved, that Sam Raimi was not directing. But however, it is Sam Raimi's baby still. He's producing. Like, I felt like he's not going to let it be bad. It's not what I want it to be, but I do want more Evil Dead.
Yes.
So let's see what's up. And did not like it the first time I saw it.
No.
Did not. Because it is utterly humorless.
It is.
And in 2013, which it causes me intense pain to think about the fact that was 13 years ago.
Yep.
That the new Evil Dead has since had an entire television series and 2 more Evil Deads. But 13 years ago, I didn't yet have the perspective of like, Evil Dead isn't necessarily funny horror. There's something else to it. So going to it, I was like, it's way too severe. I didn't like any of the characters. This was just grim, and it wasn't fun. And then I watched it a second time, and now, and by the way, that's the shirt I've got on.
That's great.
Because Mia is my hero now.
She's awesome.
Now, I think it's the best Evil Dead.
Yeah, that's your top. That's bold. Dude, I like it though. I liked it the first time I watched it. Like, I genuinely did. I went to the theater, and it was so screwed up, and like the gore, and I forgot the character's name, but her friend that cuts her tongue, like that whole like little, and I'm just like, whoa,
dude, that scene down in the cellar when she's on the steps and just pushes that box cutter through her tongue.
Yes. Oh yeah, it is Mia, isn't it, who does that? I forget.
Because, you're right. Yeah.
Yes, it is, right?
Right.
Yeah, because you're right.
She's doing because that's the big turn early on in the movie, is that Mia gets possessed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, who the heck is the final whatever?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the things. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the things that makes it so great. Now, if you go back, you remember that Ash also got possessed.
Yep.
But this is such a more extreme kind of Deadite. But anyway, yeah, the second time I watched it, I was like, I was so wrong. This is incredible. It's so gnarly and messed up. And I'm seeing, as somebody who's been watching horror movies for 37 years, well, I guess not 37 years, but so my granny introduced me to horror. So I'm like 5 years old in Wilmington, North Carolina, watching Hammer horror. My first stuff was like Christopher Lee as Dracula.
That's fantastic. Peter Cushing is Van Helsing.
Oh, dude. So here in Atlanta, we didn't, that I can remember, we didn't have like a late night horror theater show. I don't remember there ever being one here. We had Doctor Who, which I'm very thankful for. and you know, but I don't remember there being that. But in Wilmington, they had a TV station that had like a horror host that would show like, you know, it's time now to see the goriest Dracula ever, and then they show, you know, one of the Christopher Lee Dracula movies. So I'm sitting with my granny out in the carport watching horror movies at 11 o'clock at night. And I'll tell you, I don't know that she ever made it past the first like 15 minutes of one. At that point in her life, she's out in the recliner. But that, like, in all those years of watching horror movies, there was stuff in Evil Dead in 2013 that I'd never seen. And that's wild.
Yeah.
And stuff that surprised me, and stuff that and it was also relentless.
Mm-hmm. It's brutal. It's genuinely, like, brutally, like you said, relentless. It does not let go of you until that movie's over.
And, you know, typically, because we've all seen the nail gun bit in whether it's action movies, horror movies, whatever. And it's usually like, you know, 4 or 5 shots and then 1 or 2 nails hit, and then they move on to the next part of the fight or whatever.
Yeah, it's fair.
But this nail gun scene never ends.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know what part sticks with me from that movie too is, I mean, I've seen it a few times now, but like just like with the hand, like under the Jeep and like being like pulled off, like it's not like a cut off hand. You see all the like, everything.
All the sinew and all the gristle and everything. Yep. Oh, God.
That was a fun way to honor, you know, what had come before, but in a new way. And it's done so well there, and that was fun.
Well, and you know what? That, you know, you said fun. That is the fun part of the 2013 movie. It is not funny, but it is fun how Fede Alvarez took our knowledge and expectations of Evil Dead and used them to mess with us.
Yeah.
Because we got the cutting the arm off. See, only, you know, rather than the hand, it's above the elbow. Why are you going above the elbow? Because it's more messed up. So we got so many, you know, the cellar. You know, what's going to happen in the cellar? Well, no, actually you don't. Like, it was a really smart reinvention of everything we thought we knew to expect.
Which was perfect, especially being a movie that's when I saw that movie the first time, I thought, okay, this is what Sam wanted to probably do originally. Because you watch that first movie, it doesn't have the humor that the second one has. No. You know, he wasn't going for a funny movie. I almost feel like the campy acting and all that, they probably were like, wait a second, let's make this a little goofier, you know, because it works. Because they unintentionally made something kind of funny with some of the bad acting in that first movie. Right. And so to see that kind of really screwed up story and you know, bringing demons back to possess your friends that have to be completely dismembered to you know, defeat. I love that you take that and put it through the lens of like, hey, we're not going to make a funny movie. We're going to make a movie that makes you uncomfortable for the entire runtime. Yeah. And really just hit you with everything we have. And so I was like, okay, they succeeded. They did what he wanted to do, because, you know, I love what we've had before. So it was fun to have like this breath of fresh air, to have something a little different. But yeah.
Well, and that's a point of view that I've developed over the past several years of, you know, it used to be like when Disney announced Star Wars sequels, all I wanted was the expanded universe. All I wanted was Thrawn. I wanted the Timothy Zahn stuff told exactly as it was in the books. And when it wasn't that, I was disappointed. But since then, which I guess over the last 10-ish years, I've realized, like, I don't want stories I've already seen.
You want something
like
new?
if you're gonna make a Batman movie or a Batman cartoon, tell a new story, because I've already read the comics.
Yeah.
So I have that point of view of 2013 kind of delivering something that was different from what we'd seen before. Was it was great. And the good news is everything since has been that in some way, even Ash versus Evil Dead, which came 2 years later.
Yep.
So by the time...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, by the time Ash versus Evil Dead was announced, I had accepted and embraced the 2013 movie and was actually kind of disappointed that we weren't continuing with Mia.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
not that I didn't want to see more of Bruce. And I think at one point my hope was, okay, well, they're going to keep Ash on TV and maybe we'll get a follow-up movie with Mia. Because that, to this day, I still want that.
Yeah, well, they had even talked about maybe even having like the two intersecting, you know what I mean? Like have both of those worlds kind of colliding. I remember reading again, after those, I've always been that like try to look up what's happening next, especially back then. And I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. But then, of course, everything turned to Ash versus Evil Dead, and I was, over the moon. Like I was super happy to see Ash back, coming back. But I also expected a sequel to 2013, which we didn't get. But like you said, Ash versus Evil Dead brought in some of that really screwed up gore. It wasn't as messed up, but it has some it's got more scary moments than definitely Evil Dead 2. I feel like it has things that like kind of amps up, and it might be because we have the technology and like what they were able to kind of do, but I don't know. I felt they found a real good balance of screwed up horror and the laughs, and Bruce Campbell really just delivers there.
Well, and I will say this before we talk too much more about Ash versus Evil Dead. I haven't watched it since it was on.
Okay.
Except for I bought the Blu-ray, the full series set.
Yep. The big
and watched the first like couple, and it was one of those things where I just never got back to it. Like something distracted me, and I haven't gotten back to it. But I remember watching the first episode and having to adjust to Ash being this like loser asshole. And it took me a minute to accept that, well, yeah, that's what he would be at this point.
Yeah. His wooden hand.
And oh my gosh, yeah.
We sit there hitting on the girls in the bar and just but I loved it. So I remember being so excited for that show and watching that episode and just I was not disappointed at all. I was like, this is exactly who Ash would be now, 20 plus years later, whatever it was since Army of Darkness. And I love the premise of that, where how the demons come back, because of his stupidity, as always. But it's just really funny that he literally, like, it's so dumb, and it. But I don't know, it's so fun.
Well, I think it was just like I said, it wasn't picking up after the I slept too long.
Yeah,
which granted later in the series we had the promise of that.
That still hurts.
But at the studio end of Army of Darkness, he's in the S-Mart saving the girl who didn't believe his story. So he gets a bit of a heroic ending there. But like I said, that first episode, I had to kind of adjust because I realized, well, one, yes, this is proper and correct. But two, what would our story be if he was a hero? Like if now he was a competent, on top of business guy. Well, that's not a fun story that Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell would want to tell. So he needs to start at the bottom, and then we get to build our hero up. Sort of.
He needs his girdle and his oiled hair and just him at like not like him still thinking he is young and acting like hitting on the new I can't think of her name, the new characters, because you had Pablo
Kelly
and Kelly when he's hitting on Kelly is hilarious because he's this old man and he just doesn't realize that he's not Ash from the 80s. He's not that same person.
And that's a very real thing, though. Like it is like in my head, I'm not 50. Like I don't feel like, but I look back to when my dad was 50, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah,
like I still feel like post high school Dave to a certain extent. So I get that sort of Peter Pan. I haven't aged along with the world kind of thing. And that was, I think, so much the success of the show. You mentioned, and I'm not even going to lie, I've got my notes up here. Pablo and Kelly coming in as the supporting characters because Ash cannot be. You have to have the companions to go back. I mentioned Doctor Who earlier. The Doctor can't operate alone. It's not most effective when he's operating alone. You need viewpoint characters to humanize him. Yep. And Kelly and Pablo were basically Ash's companions that humanized him, that gave us dialogue, gave us interaction, because this isn't a feature film where all we have to worry about is 90 minutes of whatever. This is a series where we are going to have to deal with characters in a more significant way.
Yep. And we got Miss Lucy Lawless back too.
Yes.
Back to his old days, which is awesome, as like Ruby. But no, that it's so good. I love that show, and I haven't I watched the entirety, of course, when it came out. I have only gone back and watched the first season a couple, not all the way through, because I usually go to show to my son and we watch a few episodes, we get busy with something else, we come back, we start them back over because we're going to do it again, didn't finish again, and I'm like, we need to get through this, and we haven't. But man, that end of that show still hurts, because that was what I wanted. I wanted that fourth season so bad, and how they teased it. I was like, this is the movie. And I don't know. And I was talking about this with my son the other day. I was like, maybe some of this inspired me to do World War Hell, my end of the world, saga of, even though it's a different time period. But because I wanted that Mad Max mix with Evil Dead, I was so heartbroken when it got canceled. I was like, come on, man. Like, there's never going to be anything that tops me being that sad about a TV or movie being like canceled. I think that was the pinnacle of that, and it hurts still.
Well, it felt like, because we got what, three seasons?
Yep, 3 seasons.
Yeah, so we got 3 seasons, and when it felt like, oh, this is what we've been building up to. I wish it hadn't taken this long, but here we go. This was the purpose of all of this, and then we didn't get that payoff.
And then we just get Ash retiring afterwards a little bit later,
right?
And I'm like,
which
damn
is,
it.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah, you don't want to be, way too old putting even more oil in your hair to dye it, and
right. But within the show, you mentioned that we got stuff that was more outlandish, more over the top gore, and it did feel like every weird, creative creature, monster, kill, whatever that they were throwing on the screen. Yeah. Whether it was, I'm trying to remember, there was a morgue scene where like one demon crawled out of another demon or something crazy like that happened. And for the listeners who are like, why didn't you watch this again before talking about it? Because we're just doing an overview, broad strokes. Yeah, broad strokes.
Well, you speak of the morgue real quick. I'll fill everybody in for a second, because that's the part that sticks into me. When the intestines come out of the cadaver body, and they wrap around Ash's throat and they start pulling him up, I was like cry laughing, because the intestines are going and they're pulling, and he's like, not the butt, as he's being pulled up towards the butt, and it's like farting at him. There's like crap and blood and just everything. And sure enough, he goes up through this. His head is now out of the ripped out part of the body, and it is hilarious. And of course, the dude's junk's pierced. He's got a full Prince Albert, so that's like flopping around right by his head, and it's just complete pandemonium, and it's just hilarious. And side note for a second, but I went to Howling Horror Nights the year after that. They actually, it wasn't as graphic, of course, but they had a part where Ash comes out, and he has the body over him, and I was like, yes, it made me so happy to see them recreate that scene. It was so good.
You know what? And that, I think that's one of the big magic tricks of the show, or one of the things that they figured out. When we've fallen in love with Ash from Evil Dead to Evil Dead 2 to Army of Darkness, and certainly by Army of Darkness, we as the audience don't want to see anything bad happen to Ash.
Of course.
Like, yes, it's funny when he's doing the Stooges bit in the courtyard, or when his evil self, Evil Ash, is beating him up or whatever. But realistically, we don't want to see these terrible things happen to him. But by 2015, and certainly the way that they've established him in the show, well, we don't want to see anything. We don't want to see him die.
No permanent.
But we do want to see bad stuff happen to him.
Yeah.
We want to see him get sucked into that ass. So, like,
yes.
And they figured that out. They figured out that Sam Raimi's joy in torturing Bruce Campbell has now translated to the audience.
Yes. And that it's so because Bruce Campbell just sells it so well. Like, he does such a good job of selling the like him going through something terrible but hilarious for all of us to watch, because any other actor, I don't see it, translating the same way. He really has a way of putting himself through something horrible, but you laugh hysterically at it.
Well, and also you can see watching that show how he's developed as an actor, because, in those original 3 movies, he's acting horrified and tortured to some extent because he's being tortured, physically. And he has this magical way of, even though he's older and even though he's not doing quite the level of physical stunts that he was doing before, but now he knows how to make it look and how to emote in a way that we feel his trauma just as much as if he was being physically assaulted.
Yes. Yeah. And I still feel he is pretty assaulted, especially in that first episode. I think it's the first episode or second episode. I don't know if you remember, but his boss tries to attack him. He hides in the Delta. Ash is driving. Pablo's with him, and he gives Pablo like a beer bottle as a weapon. And he gets like grabbed by the boss, and he's like, "Pablo, give me something." He hands him that broken bottle, and he just stabs the hell out of him. And it's just, he's practically waterboarding himself with blood. There's so much blood. And I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, how are they not killing him with how much blood? Like, there's no faking it. It's just
right.
And I'm like, yep, that's what really got me. Like, of course, seeing Ash again was amazing, but like, I'm like, okay, this is on Stars. This is on a channel that they can go and swing for the fences without any like, oh, you can't do that. Yeah. No, it's not regular TV. It's not even rated for a movie. It's TVMA. You can do whatever the hell you want, pretty much. And it was so freeing and refreshing as a somebody watching it and a lifelong Evil Dead fan to see all of that.
Well, and also the fact that it was on Stars, I think that there was going to be less, like if it had ended up on HBO or something with or AMC or whatever, I think there would have probably been a little more corporate interference in it, whereas Stars was kind of just looking for, hey, if you're a great creator, bring us your thing and do it. Like that really seemed to be the attitude from the network on that. So, yeah, we were very fortunate. And now after talking about it, I need to rewatch the whole thing again. And,
we both do. Yeah, we'll go. Yeah. That could be some homework.
Yeah, right. Maybe that'll be the part 2 a couple months from now is we'll come back and do a more full review of that.
Yeah.
So our next up was Evil Dead Rise. And much like the 2013 Evil Dead, actually much like a lot of my favorite movies, I didn't like Evil Dead Rise the first time I watched it.
No. Oh, man.
Yeah, it didn't connect. Parts of it felt... there were some parts... My conflict was... It doesn't feel connected enough to Evil Dead, but at the same time, they did what I felt like were some really hacky callbacks to Evil Dead. So it didn't, in some weird way, it didn't feel genuine to me. And that's 100% on me and just how I took it in the first time watching it. And also, I'm still disappointed that there's no Mia, that we've gone off in another direction again. And then I don't, it just, that first viewing, it didn't connect. Okay. But once again, I watched it a second time with my, your expectations.
You have to, yes. Yep.
Watched it a second time and I was like, this is fucking awesome. What is wrong with me from 6 months ago or whatever it was between when it came out in theaters and you could buy it. Because I did, once it came out on Blu-ray, I did, even though I hadn't liked it in the theater, I bought it because I am going to buy every Evil Dead thing.
Of course.
Even if I think I don't like it, I gotta have it.
Gotta give it another
and I watched it again. And I was like, "This is great. This is absolutely great." That thing at the end, the all of them bundled up together.
Or they call it like the Marauder something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember them having a specific name for it when they were talking about behind the scenes stuff. But whatever, dude, it's great. It's 100% an Evil Dead thing and an innovative thing. We had not seen a Deadite gestalt like that before. It was the Voltron of Deadites.
Which, so it's funny you say you went to Rise not liking it that much not really liking it that first time. I loved it the first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it was like a week later, and maybe not even, because I went to the theater with my buddies. Because they were like, "Hey, we all need to go do this. Let's go watch." And I usually bring the kids or my wife because I've gotten them all hooked to horror too. So I was like, "Well, I got to go to see this again." I loved it the first time. The second time, I loved it like 10 times even more. So it's funny. I still liked it, but I liked it even more because you start seeing everything for what it is. And Evil Dead Rise is actually up there. Like it doesn't have Ash, of course. So like I still feel Evil Dead 2 is what I fell in love with. So it's still top, but Rise is like right there with it to me. Because it's like that movie, like I love the apartment building. It's its own character in itself.
Yes.
Like how they shoot that thing. Alyssa Sutherland is freaking amazing, as the mom, and like the cat, like how it's shot, it's beautifully shot. It's so dark, but yet you still see everything and you connect with all the characters. I feel like you genuinely me personally anyways, I liked all the kids. We got the girl who's in now Stranger Things season 5. I forgot her name. Ellie something. I think. No, maybe that's the character is Ellie. What's the little girl's name? I don't remember. But you know what I'm talking about. The little girl. Yeah. She's great in it. She's got the stick with the baby doll head on it. And like there's so many moments in Rise that are just huge. Like I said, cheese grater from before. The glass, eating the glass. Ellie going up like I love their callback to the trees from the first and second movie, and having it like be the elevator cables.
Dude, the elevator, the blood in the elevator,
is
insane.
So much blood, and that's a fun kind of little nod to, of course, The Shining, which I love as well. And so, but to bring it in and make it your own too, and just. Oh man, it's so cool. Like I love that movie. I was very fortunate. I got to meet Alyssa Sutherland a few years ago, and I got a picture with her, and she's like ripping out my Adam's apple kind of thing. Nice. And so it's awesome. Really fun. It's so good. I loved that movie so much. And, Lee Cronin did a really good job really bringing that world to life. And like you said, the monster at the end, that's screwed up. Like that's something we've never seen before. And I'm like, that feels very Evil Dead. My biggest maybe gripe would be about the movie. I really liked the teeth on the Book of the Dead was fun, but I did not really care for the design of the book itself. I loved the drawings, like the actual blood inked artwork that they did. It looks like the most screwed up version of the Book of the Dead, but the cover I think bothered me. I wanted that original kind of look, and I know they were going for their own thing, which was fine, but that's probably my biggest gripe. And we get Bruce Campbell, as a voice in there.
I like different looks for the Book of the Dead because even if it's supposed to be in the same universe, I like the idea that it can have different appearances depending on who's looking at it or what its current purpose is. Like I like the idea that it might even look like the one from The Mummy, like the old Brendan Fraser, like maybe sometimes it's a giant gold tome. Maybe sometimes it's this leather bound. Like I kind of like it being this transmutable thing.
And that makes sense.
And also it's just fun to see the different artists get their shot at what they think it should look like. And dude, to go back to the 2013 one, when he's cutting through that barbed wire with the black like garbage bag wrapped around it, and he's cutting through the barbed wire to get the book open.
That's fantastic.
Oh, that scene is good, and you know what's getting ready to happen.
Yes. And I love that was put in there to be like, keep away from this, you know, and that's just fun. Like the barbed wire is a great touch, and that was a great moment. I need to go back. It's been a while since I've watched 2013. I need to go back and watch it again because
it is so intense. But and that's another thing in so Evil Dead Rise. Now it's awesome. Totally love it. Actually, you mentioned the apartment building kind of being its own character.
Mm-hmm.
I think that parking garage is now like I would say it's a top 5 setting from a horror movie for me.
Yeah.
So much creepy stuff happens over the course of the movie in that parking garage, and then of course the finale has to happen down there. So like it's you know, it's not quite as done up as the building itself, but they were very effective with the way they would shoot, and you couldn't sometimes tell where the character was in relation to other things. Like they were very smart about using that big open space, but making it feel very claustrophobic.
Yes. I love like the door, how the clicker won't work, and like how it's all metal and loud, and the light, even just the little light, it feels like so, I don't know, it's just really good design work, and it just brings you into that, which is so good.
Well, and we've all been in parking garages and had that feeling of like, you know, what if that, even though you can see the outside world through that door, you know, what if that thing goes down? What am I going to do in here? I'm going to be stuck. Yeah. And so like there was a lot of parking garage. As a matter of fact, there's a movie, I think it's called Park, that the whole thing is about a serial killer hunting a woman in a parking garage. I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Let me look this up real quick.
I mean, it's a good idea.
Oh man, nothing is coming up right now. Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but yeah, it all takes place in a parking garage, and it was very intense. Good flick. I'll look it up another time and post it somewhere.
You have to let me know.
So Evil Dead Rise, definitely a success. And people love, you know, you mentioned Alyssa Sutherland. I mean, she was a horror superstar coming out of that thing.
Yeah.
That she was a new Scream Queen. No doubt.
Yes.
And I feel like before Evil Dead Rise was even out of theaters, they had already announced, well, we're working on the next one. Similar to how we already know Evil Dead Wrath is coming 2 years from now.
Yeah, I don't know if they finished. Did they start filming that, or did they finish filming that?
They started filming Wrath in February, so they may be done by now.
Yeah,
you know, horror movies aren't big 6 month.
No,
shoots.
No.
So yeah, we now know we've got another one coming, but we already knew there was another Evil Dead movie coming while Evil Dead Rise was kind of still being talked about. And Evil Dead Burn, I absolutely loved it first time out. And I think the experiences of adjusting my expectations on the 2013 one and on Rise had me ready to accept something a little different this time.
Which it is.
I didn't go in as full of, well, it needs to be this. I went in like, I want something that feels right. And it is different.
It is. It's funny, actually. I didn't know you could see it in my camera over there. Which way am I pointing over there? My little bird sitting back there on the poster behind Sergeant Graves. But I went and saw it that first night, of course. Got to go first night. But I can now. I've only watched it once, but I want to watch it a second time now because I've got a little bit of like that 2013 that you have, where I'm just like, my expectations were so high because of Rise. So I saw Burn, and I was like, I still enjoyed this, and there was a lot of moments I really liked, but it wasn't as good as Rise for me. So I was a little let down. And so but like, you know, bringing the kids with me, they all liked it a lot. And I was like, all right, I think I just had my expectations way too high, as always. That's why I try not to give too much of my opinion in the beginning of a new, if I see something, the first time I see it, I try not to go too critical on it because we have that same kind of mindset. You go in thinking something, and then it maybe goes a different way, and you got to play catch up. And so you have to watch it a second time without any surprises, kind of knowing what's going to happen and just really just take in the film. And I need to do that with Burn because I liked a lot of it still, but I think it lacked a little bit with like I understood what they were going for. Our heroine is kind of on an island on herself. A lot of people are kind of like, she's already an outsider. It's got a lot of the whole metaphors of, like in-laws and dealing with family and how they could be the worst, but taking that and now throwing the Deadites and the demons into that world, you take kind of shitty people and then just amplify them to Deadites. Now you lose a little bit of, where Rise had the family element where you don't want anything to happen to these people. And they actually could tell they love each other. Even if they have a little bit of animosity here and there, you still see the love. So when that's flipped on its head, it's just like, it's tragic and horrifying, but it makes you root for those characters a little more. Whereas this one, I didn't care about really any of the characters per se, except for maybe the main girl. And so again, I need to watch it again. It had some great moments. It was shot great. And I did have a few issues with some of the CG in like, especially in some of the final moments of it. I was like, I understand why you got to use some CG, but I like when it's as practical as possible. And so when you bring in the CG in there, it takes me out, especially of an Evil Dead movie.
Yeah. And we'll start before we get to the end, because that is really my biggest gripe is the end of the movie that almost felt like it was directed by someone else.
Yeah.
It felt like a very strange departure from what we had seen before. Like the fact that it ended outside of that house didn't feel right to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Because, similar to Evil Dead Rise, where the apartment building felt like such a critical part of everything that was happening, that house, one, was a great set.
It was
just made to be destroyed. You could tell from the moment you saw it, like, there's going to be some carnage in this place.
Yes.
So it felt weird that it ended outside of the house. But before we get to that, just real quick, we'll run it down. Alice, Sahela Yacob as Alice Price, Tandy Wright as Susan Price, Hunter Doohan as Joseph Price, Lucianne Buchanan as Thea, Errol Shand as Edgar, and Maud Davey as Polly, and then there are other characters as well. But those are our main
the family,
cast members, because I wanted to have the character names up here, so we weren't. Although, I'll probably still end up saying, Alice was the main one.
Yes,
which is always a great name for a horror heroine. I'm always a big fan of Alice. So I agree with you in that the characters, we didn't really have the likable cast of characters that make us feel when somebody gets turned. Mm-hmm. Like typically now we did have, I thought that we start the movie with Alice and her husband.
Yep.
And then her husband's brother. And I thought that they were brother and sister, because I misheard a line at the beginning of the movie when they're in the club. Mm-hmm. And they're setting up that the husband is this kind of douchey guy.
Yeah.
And the brother tells her, I thought he said, promise me you'll never get married. Because he's seeing, because this is his sister, and he's seeing how his brother is treating this woman, and he doesn't want his sister treated that way. But then I was confused the whole rest of the movie. I was like, wait, what is their relationship? Because there was one point where they seemed like they were together, and then after the movie, my wife was like, no, he said, "Promise me we'll never get married." And I was like, "Oh, you're right. Okay." Because there's that one moment where now she's a Deadite at this point, but
Yes.
she says, you were my first." And I was like, "Oh, wait, what? Or is this Deadite?"
So you were really
or is-
thrown off.
Right. I was really confused by all this. But I will say she was her turning was a shock because in general I think we liked her character.
Yeah.
She was doing her best to be good to Alice.
I liked her the most so far. Like, and so that was a good way to do it.
Dude, and the seat cushion
through
the head. Well, okay, but before that, we open the movie with Joseph, who is the younger brother, who has been studying his grandfather's crazy old texts. And this group of people was the Circle of Wise Men, I think.
Yeah. Yep. The Circle of Wise Men, I believe.
The Circle of Wise Men, who, the second they said that, I was like, okay, well, we're setting up a franchise now. Like, it's already a franchise, but clearly somebody has some ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that the next movie, Evil Dead Wrath, takes place prior to the original Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's like late 70s, I think, right?
Right. And I would assume we're going to get into that whole Circle of Wise Men thing. So he finds something. And from the shape of it, this to me I really enjoyed, because when he pulls that bag out, it looks like the Kandarian dagger from the original movie. Like the shape of it. And then they do the callback later in the movie, and it's totally the scene from Holy Grail. Not Holy Grail, Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, when you chose poorly.
Yeah. The big ornate dagger that looks like the one in this again.
It was exact, pretty much. It was like it was a Kandarian dagger, design wise, which was fun. And I'm like, that's not it. It can't be, because they're not going to make it that easy.
That's too easy.
We've seen Indiana Jones.
That was a great callback. But yeah, her turning, the younger brother's girlfriend's turning, when her hand gets closed in the car door.
Yep, that's great.
That to me was the shock to the system. Like, was an Evil Dead moment. Was a like, oh wow, things are happening. We're all in trouble now, because this is a character that potentially could have made it close to the end of the movie.
Sure.
And we're already chopping fingers off. Yeah.
And I like that it's not like a clean. They kind of fall after a few, like it takes a second.
Oh, and then, the pause.
Yeah. And then, and I like that she has that like neon yellow nail polish, because it makes you see those remaining fingers better, and having the gore mixed with that was good art direction right there.
Well, and they had established the fingernails before, because at the dinner with Dad, when she's like trying to take the knife away from him and stuff, they do a couple of shots looking at not just her nail polish, but that right hand that's going to lose the fingers in just a little bit.
A little subtle foreshadowing. I like it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, it's almost like Chekhov's fingers. Like, you showed those fingers, you're going to do something with them. And you don't realize it until retrospect, but then you're like, oh, that whole dinner scene, they just kept showing. Ooh. And that scene was so intense. Errol Shand, the actor who played Edgar,
the father,
right? The Deadite father. Man, creepy acting.
He was, like, when he takes the gun and like when he has the gun and just fires. Like, that's really fun how they did that.
Okay, so to go back to him and how tense his transformation was, because it was a slow Deadite transformation.
Yeah.
It was very, very tense, because we as the audience knew. And I think that's part of what worked about this for me, is that those characters, everyone knows they're dicks. the audience knows, the characters in the movie know. So there's almost something a little more delicious about us as the audience watching how long it takes for the evil to really emerge. Because, like, if it's your buddies turning, as soon as they start acting weird, you know something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But these people were just slowly getting meaner and weirder.
True.
It was like a boil rather than a, oh no, you're evil. So
Yes.
watching these three characters that we like a little bit more and knowing what's happening is there's a different kind of tension to it than if they were just a nice family.
That's true. That's true. That's why I want to watch it again. You know, like those little moments. I need to go and now that my expectations have come down a little bit.
Right,
I need
right.
to go back, and then I'll probably be like, "Oh, I love it." But yeah,
so we got to talk about the dog.
Yes.
Because going into it, because normally I try to avoid spoilers of any kind whatsoever about anything. Like I sometimes don't even watch trailers now if it's a movie
Same.
I know I want to see. But a friend of mine got to see an early screening, and she is really good with doing like completely spoiler free, but here's what I thought type of stuff.
Okay.
But she will mention if there are animal deaths in a movie. And she said, but there is a pretty horrible dog death. And I was like, oh man, because I can't handle that.
It sucks.
It's rough. Like John Wick is like the only dog death where I'm like, all right, you earned it, I guess.
It still hurts. Yeah, that's still a brutal death, of course, because any
rough.
animal, you don't want to see any dog or any animal get killed on screen. But and they did it pretty terribly. In that
it's horrible.
It's still bad. But like you said,
he gets to come back.
Yes,
as a Deadite.
A Deadite dog we had not gotten before.
Right.
I don't think.
So like that felt, and also there's a difference between as fiddling as this may be, for me there is a difference between a monster killing an innocent animal and a human killing an innocent animal.
Yes.
Like in the recent Punisher, where the street toughs killed the dog. Like that was horrible. And I didn't feel it was necessary to the plot. It just felt gratuitous. But here it was a monster doing it. And it was like, well, yes, this is what monsters do. They do horrible things. But then when we get the dog back as a Deadite, like that, to me, redeemed it.
It did.
Because it was like, well, the dog gets to have some fun. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. And I liked it. It had that callback of him whistling earlier at the funeral home and the dog coming to him. And now he does it, and it's a Deadite dog. And then also, as a horror trope that usually happens, like, why don't you just run away from the house? Well, now you have a dog out there you will be run down and ripped apart. And I'm like, well, that's pretty fun, storytelling right there.
And even once Edgar gets inside, and boy, is his wife a piece of work.
Yes.
She just lets him in. Oh, and okay. And Grandma, Polly.
Polly, yep.
The second we see adult old Grandma, we're just waiting for her to become a Deadite, right?
Yes.
As soon as you saw her, you're like, that lady is going to get to do some really fucked up stuff in this movie. She's probably going to say some horrible things to her terrible child. Like, you just knew. I just felt the whole time like I was just waiting oh, man, somebody bite her or something.
Yes. Well, speaking of the grandma, though, like, was this the first time we've ever had, like, where it was, like, a saliva-based, like, transfer of like usually the Deadites, you get the camera coming in and that whole thing, and they're possessed. I'd never really seen it from like a bodily fluid, but like the girlfriend had taken, I forgot her name again, the one with the fingers, and she took that fake teeth, put it in her mouth just to give you that gross out factor, and then put it back in there. And I hadn't seen that before. I was like, okay, well, this'll fix you.
Yes.
Yes, and so I'm like, okay, they're doing something, they're expanding. I mean, I guess there's really no real rules, so why not? I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
That's how it works in like zombie movies and stuff like that to an extent. But I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. Like okay, well, if it's bodily fluid though, also, how many times have our heroes gotten gore and bits all over
Goo
them,
in
ingested
them
and,
in
and
their
stuff like
eyes.
that? So
Right.
I don't know. Like,
Well,
is it when it works, when it doesn't? I don't know. But it was still a
but
fun, gross out moment with the saliva.
maybe that's part. And look, we're probably dissecting it too much, but
Probably.
because one Evil Dead, as you said, like there is kind of a loose not methodology. What's the word I'm looking for? What's the medical term for processes? Uh I don't know that anybody's ever sat down and written the book of here's how deadites happen. I think we've seen
Yes.
a lot of different ways. So I mean, it could very well be we just haven't shown this specific transfer before, but it could also be intent because one of the key factors about deadites is their consciousness and that they're not zombies.
Yeah.
They're possessed by
They know
demons.
what they're doing.
Right. They have motivations. So is it the intent to infect that maybe matters?
That's true. Yeah, because usually they do choose, like I mean, and Ash could have been possessed at any time in some of the old movies, and then when he is, it's like they're just doing it to mess with him
Right.
almost. It's like they want to drive you insane. So yeah, maybe that's how that works out. That makes sense.
And that's another defining characteristic of not just Deadites but of Evil Dead is that they're not out to eat you. They may eat you, but it's not
They
really
could.
their purpose. They're really more than anything, the Deadites want to fuck with you.
Yeah, they want
Like
to break you.
yeah, yeah. And that definitely came through in this one. Uh
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like again, the father with the gun. He's
yeah.
literally just standing there, yeah, blowing his brains out just for them, just to scare the shit out of all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um so we get the great scene that I don't know if this felt quite fleshed out enough to me, but at the same time, I don't know how much further it could have gone. When the sister gets locked after she's a deadite, she gets locked in the basement and then just starts turning up the heater.
Mm-hmm.
And they
That was actually a
do
fun.
right
Go
just
ahead.
to make them
Yeah, yeah,
miserable.
yeah. Make
It
them miserable.
like it when she was doing it, it felt like, oh, this is she's going to try and force him out of the house, which maybe was part of the intent there. But at the end of the day, it really was just a deadite being a jerk.
Yeah, which makes it, which like having her be down there with the furnace. I'm like, oh, of course she's gonna screw with stuff. Like, why wouldn't she?
Mhm.
And we've never seen that before. Usually they're just down there making noises, being an asshole. Having Cheryl down there or Henrietta. But like having this, I was like, oh, that's clever. Turn up the heat and make everybody. They're already miserable upstairs. Let's have them even more miserable because they're sweating their ass off.
Oh, this was another fun. Okay, so I totally skipped past the beginning of the movie, which makes this a direct sequel to Evil
Rise.
Dead Rise.
Yep.
Uh, and it took me like just a second to connect it, but like the two guys are fishing on the lake, and they showed the lake, and I was like, oh wait, lake, like we've seen a lake. Which one was the lake? Uh, and then when she comes up out of the water, I was like, oh my gosh. This is the first like Deadite continuity
Yeah.
we've seen in this way.
Yeah, and I didn't even pick it up at first. Like you said, you connected real quick. I know of the lake scene and all that from Rise is awesome, but I forget that that's like after the effects,
Right, right.
events of that. I wasn't thinking in the moment because I'm just watching this, and I'm like, okay, these guys are getting attacked by it. I'm like, and then as I read a little more and I was thinking about stuff, and I was like, oh wait, that is a continuation, yes, and I like that a lot more.
Yes, and that's it took me that set, and I think that was another thing about Rise is on the first viewing it felt a bit disjointed to me because I was like, what was that lake shit? And now what
Yeah.
And so watching it the second time, now you know the continuity in the sequence, so like you can just sit back and watch it play out, and it's so much fun as it does to see her at the very end of Rise, and you're like, oh, that's okay. And then we get, this direct follow-up, and the Deadites this time, they have intent. The intent has come up a lot, but that's very interesting. And I haven't really put all this together until we've been talking about it. But that's what this movie is now they have a specific goal in a different way than what we've seen. They want the Kandarian dagger. And they were awakened by this, which also, this is the first Evil Dead that did not have the Necronomicon in it at all.
Yeah. Which is okay, I think.
Oh yeah,
I liked that they did it that way because, you don't have to follow that same pattern, but having it be a sequel to Rise like they did, the Necronomicon already kind of did what it needed to do.
It's already been activated.
Yep. And then, we now know of this, we've sensed the blade. We need to take that, and get that away from people so they can't stop us. And so, story-wise in the plot, that makes sense. And I like that.
Yeah, that's very cool, because it didn't impact me until just now that it's not even in the movie, because we get that great scene where Alice is looking through the notes, because we have tons of notes and drawings and really cool, like almost Grail diary kind of thing.
Yes.
With speaking of Last Crusade, of the research that this guy did, and we get the great scene where Alice is reading the words.
Yes.
But they've already been spoken.
Puts it down.
Right. It was so good. And as she's reading them, they're doing the camera stuff, and we as the audience are like, oh shit, here we go. And then when she says fuck this, you're like, oh wait, the words were already spoken. The Pandora's box is already open. Like, this is happening, nothing to do with her. And again, there was, I think it wasn't quite as overt as Fede Alvarez's movie, but there was a nice little amount of playing with our expectations, knowing they're playing to a smart audience who knows their little tricks and who knows how these things work. And playing around with that with us,
which is good.
It's very fun.
You have to have that, especially when there's been now 5 movies plus the TV show. No, 6 movies with the TV show. And so, yes, you can't just keep doing the same thing. So it's nice to have that, just kind of treat like they teased the chainsaw multiple times, in the movie, and especially really at the end there, they teased it. Felt a little, I was like, oh, no chainsaw. All right. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I was okay with it though. Like, I was like, you don't have to have the chainsaw every time.
Absolutely.
Because it was used really well, and it was done really great in Rise, I feel, because you had that work truck and it was natural. It didn't feel forced.
It made sense.
Oh, grab that. This, I did like the weed eater. That was kind of fun, but or the edger.
Well, and how long they teased it too. It was sitting there on that mantle forever.
Especially looking at that, and if anybody's ever done any yard work, like that was a gnarly looking freaking piece of yard equipment. Like that's not something anybody's gonna really ever use. I was like, that's made for killing people. Really?
We've got one of those, and I actually had to use, dude, and it is, if anybody listening, anybody watching, if you ever have the opportunity to use one of those things, and I don't even know what it's called, because I got it from my parents when they moved out of their, they had a bigger house, and they gave us so much yard stuff and whatever they didn't need anymore. So I have one of those, and it's awesome to use.
That's great.
That was my one thing, is when shit, I don't even remember it wasn't Alice that used it, was it?
No, Alice,
it was Alice, because it was Alice, because she went up the stairs with it and everything.
Yep.
My
one into the ceiling.
Right. My one note was she couldn't be doing that because it has a strap that helps you hold it. I was like, there's no way she's doing that without using that strap. And she didn't have the neck strap on. So, but yes, if you have the opportunity to use one of those things,
I'm going to have to try now. Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It cuts through branches.
I need something, just in case. You never know too. It's good for self-defense against Deadites.
Yeah. It's great to have lawn tools available. So yeah, that whole the whole sequence of the younger brother just getting his ass beat by Edgar, the way that was shot, where the focus wasn't even on the fight, it was about her escaping, trying to get away from it with all the violence happening in the background. I thought that was really well done.
That was done.
Oh, and actually, speaking of which, the director, Sebastian Vanasek, he has another movie called Infested.
That's what got him this job. I know. I haven't seen it though.
Dude, watch it. And it's a spider movie, and I cannot deal with spiders. But this movie, it was so good. Like normally, I won't even watch anything like any more realistic thing like Kingdom of the Spiders. Like that's about as much spider horror as I can handle.
Like, that's enough.
I need the Shat in the middle of it going, no, these spiders are everywhere. Like that's as hardcore as I can get. But Infested was so freaking good, I couldn't turn it off.
I'll check it out.
Which is what made me excited about this. But so yeah, the once she gets the tool, heads up to the bathroom, and then the scene in the bathroom is, I think what made this different to me is it felt like it was, as much as we got the family in the last movie, this one almost felt even more like a character study. Like the family in the last movie were very good characters. We liked them. We got to see a bit of their lives before everything went so horribly wrong. And that was part of what was so effective about the movie. But in this one, it almost felt like, rather than being there for the spectacle of an Evil Dead, we were there for who is this person? And also the spectacle of Evil Dead. Like it was, I don't know, it was just interesting to me. It felt like a different approach. And for me, it worked. But like I said, I think only because twice before I'd been through this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I've got to adjust. So I think I was kind of already ready to adjust a bit.
You went in the right way. I was hoping for a Rise level, and it might just be, and I might not realize it. And it's just because I've seen Rise so many times now. I need to watch it again. And so, I'm going to have to give you a second opinion once I watch it for the second time.
Well, and I wouldn't say, as far as just being gonzo horror, it certainly didn't rise to the level of Rise. Well, not rise to the level. It wasn't the same level of gonzo horror as Rise or as the 2013 one, but there was something about it that was more visceral to me. It felt like a different thing, but it still felt very much Evil Dead because, like I said, we got those shock to the system moments that were so effective.
Which is the Evil Dead way, like, the shock to the system. Yeah.
But then the ending. So we'll talk about the ending now. They set up. I got to go back to my last page to see the names again.
The husband. What was his name? Was it Will?
I think it was William or Will. Yeah, Will. Whatever. So it's set up that he's coming back, which we kind of expected because over the course of the movie, there's no reason to show so much of their relationship if she isn't going to have some kind of reckoning with him at the end.
Yep.
So after everything else is said and done, it feels like your traditional, okay, this is the horror movie thing where this is meant to feel like an end, but we've still got one last act. So like we knew it wasn't over. The house is burning down. And this is where what you said about CGI comes in. I was a little surprised that looked as corny as it did in 2026 coming from these people.
Yeah.
it was not a great looking burning house. And then unfortunately, for the remainder of the movie, we got a not great looking Deadite. I was not impressed with Will's look at all.
No, I like the idea of it, like a charred, burnt man, but like it could have been done so much better. I feel like if you did maybe prosthetics and then had mixed that with green screen on his body, you know, like green suit, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if they did that, but it just didn't look right to me. And maybe it was because so much was gone and they were trying, but I mean, it doesn't even compare. But like all I could think of was like early The Mummy, you know, like Brendan Fraser, The Mummy.
Same. And I mean, it was way better than that, but you're right. Like in a way, it just felt like, well, this shouldn't look like this now. So I am curious to see how they shot it, because I don't know if you've seen the newest Silent Hill.
I haven't.
If you haven't, don't. It's fucking terrible.
I had a feeling that's probably why I didn't watch it.
But most of it is practical. With digital enhancement, which I think is exactly the way things should be. Right. But it all looks like shitty CGI. I don't even understand how they accomplished that. And that's how this guy felt to me watching it. In my head, I was like, man, I bet this is like Silent Hill, where once we see the pre-effects shots, we're going to be shocked at how much of him is practical, and that the CG wasn't up to snuff for what they were trying to achieve, because it just doesn't look, it kind of looks like a 2006 like PlayStation game.
Yeah.
And it was very disappointing that we've been with Alice through all of this. We now know her trauma. We now know the past, and she gets this opportunity to face, you know, this horrible villain of her life. And he looks like you said, he looks like CGI Arnold Vosloo.
Freaking Emotep over here. And it's just like, come on, guys. It just takes you out of the movie, especially when Rise had such a huge climax. Again, they came up with something really screwed up coming at you, and you're just like mind blown. Whereas now all of the stuff before the movie was the best stuff. And so it's a bummer when they don't stick the landing. And like, it was, again, it wasn't at the house. It was just, it could have been better.
That was big too. That they took us to now. I mean, we did see the construction site earlier in the movie, and it did sort of feel like, well, there's a reason they're making a big deal about all this construction, but it just felt odd to end it there and not in the house. And maybe watching it a second time, it'll feel more natural to me. You know, maybe earlier in the movie, knowing what happens at the construction site will make that more impactful.
It may.
So yeah, I mean, you can't really have an opinion until you've seen something a second time. Unless it's the new Silent Hill, which is just dog shit. But
sometimes you just know.
But yeah, overall, I was just the in the morgue, like when Edgar punches out of the. Okay, so we got to talk about the overly awkward funeral. Not Edgar. When William punches out of the casket, and that's when things start to go really, really bad. And our poor funeral attendant guy who can't get the casket off the stage. That was great.
That was good, awkward ass humor.
Yes. Yeah, and I love that they stopped just shy of like the casket falling over and the body rolling out. Yeah. Like they made it just painful enough. And then this poor guy gets back there and first has to deal with Edgar, which nobody should have to deal with Edgar.
No.
And then, you know, has to deal with William, who's come back, and it's the setup of it. Again, I think where I truly appreciate it is that we all knew where it was headed, and just how long is it going to take the characters to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. I can forgive the ending because it didn't undo what I had enjoyed so much of before, but I feel like the characters in the movie deserved better than how it looked, at least.
But it's still an Evil Dead movie, and we're at the movie theater
Yeah.
for a new Evil Dead movie, and I still enjoyed it, even though I have some gripes with it and I have some issues. You know, I'm a little critical just because I love Evil Dead, and so I'm gonna be that way. But again, I watched it again. Are we going to talk about the after credits? Are we
yes, we are.
Okay.
Yes, we are. So we've got two after
two
credits. The first one we get was a wonderful surprise because we realize, like, we don't know what happened to Polly. Oh, well, Polly is just crawling down the road. And when we see the car in the background, my first thought, because as I said, I will never give up on this. My first thought was, oh my gosh, it's going to be Mia, and she's going to know what's up and just take Polly out.
Yeah.
That would be great. But
that would be great.
What we get is an innocent bystander who Polly scratches and infects and presumably sends on her leg. But what happened to your legs? And whatever she says, and then she says, but yours will do just fine, and then scratches her. Which again kind of suggests the intent thing, because just a scratch can do it.
Yeah.
Can infect.
Yeah. So it's like choosing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that was a nice more to come type of credit scene. But then the final after credit scene that completely blew me away.
Yep. It redeemed.
Never expected.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Like it, and that you're right. If nothing had happened after that ending, I probably wouldn't be as high on the movie as I am.
Yeah.
But those two post-credit scenes were so satisfying. So the second one, which is the return of Alyssa Sutherland's character.
Yeah. And it was done well. I thought it was done well. It was cool.
It was done brutally well, and it felt more like a piece of Evil Dead Rise, because that sweet little girl who you just know nothing bad is going to happen to. And I literally, when I say that, I'm saying that I really didn't think anything bad was going to happen to her. I thought at worst,
it'll be her mom.
Yeah, at worst, she'll get spooked and the screen will go black. You know, who knows what's going to happen. But certainly, you know, she's going to run out of there screaming is probably going to be the end result. So we get Alyssa Sutherland in the mirror. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And it could have cut there. I thought it was going to cut there. I was like, that's enough. I'm good. Cool.
Yeah.
But
you did it.
Because it's Evil Dead, shock to the system, she pops up behind the girl and rips her fucking head in half.
She really does. Oh,
dude, it's one of the most brutal things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it's
they
gnarly.
And the fact that it's a kid, because so even now, with as graphic as movies have gotten, and as many things that were once taboo are no longer taboo, you still don't often see something happening to kids.
Yes. Yeah.
I know, especially innocent, sweet kids.
Sure. Like, even like they made it like it was a big deal, even just a year or two ago with Terrifier 3. You know,
right.
Like they're like, we're not pulling punches, and they didn't. And so, you know, kids have died in movies over the years before. You know, I always think, you know, like I still love the scene from Assault on Precinct 13. I don't know if you ever watched the original John Carpenter Assault on Precinct 13.
It's been a minute, but yes.
Brutal moment of a child dying in it. So, you know, it's been there before, but it's not commonplace in movies.
Look, Macaulay Culkin and the Bees, we all know.
Yes. He can't see without his glasses. Yes. And it happens, yes, but like, and usually it's not brutal though. It's either off screen, or if it is on screen, it's not this. So that was pretty next level right there.
Well, and next level, and also it's not even in the movie. It's not
Yeah.
even like it was meant as we're gonna get you one more time before you walk out of this theater. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, solid. And then she, what would she say? Mommy's back.
Yes,
Then,
mommy's back. And but that
dude.
also now rewrites a little bit of the Deadite history where, like, okay, once they've been destroyed, how do they come back? So because she was genuinely destroyed,
Yeah.
like completely obliterated through a wood chipper. So, okay, well, how's this work? But that's fun because it's blood, dark magic, demonic power. I don't feel like there's any real rules to follow.
No,
So why not bring that character back? She's so good.
It doesn't feel like something that goes against the lore. It feels like something that we have not explored yet.
Yeah.
So I'm here for
we're gonna have to have a fourth movie at some point because I mean the third one's gonna be a prequel.
Right.
So it feels like they're setting all those dominoes up and setting the stage for the next movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Because whatever happened with Polly, like that has to go somewhere. And then,
Yep.
Mommy being back, that's got to go somewhere.
Yep.
However, the thing that I have to remind myself as Evil Dead Wrath happens 2 years from now, presumably 2 years after that is the goal for which I don't even want to talk about 2030, but that's where we are.
Yeah.
Presumably 2030 would be the goal, but this being Evil Dead, we also may never see any of that and get some kind of reboot in 2030 or
That's
nothing
true.
at all or what. I'm trying not to hang my hopes too much on those things and just enjoy them for the moment that they provided, because we don't know where things will go. So whatever comes after Wrath, I'm not going to expect Polly's Deadite or even Alyssa Sutherland, because who knows? Whatever it is, it's going to be Evil Dead.
Yes. And I'll be happy to see more Evil Dead. I hope they continue the story because I want to see what happens next. I hope they bring Mia back because that would be fun. I want them to bring Beth back, from Rise as well.
Yeah.
Which would be cool. So we'll see. Maybe that's what we're gearing up to. Some big battle royale of, the remaining heroes or something crazy, having to kind of band together. I don't know. I could see something like that happening. I'm okay with it, bring a little bit of that. So who knows?
Absolutely. Well, it was in the notes to talk about the toys a little bit, but we're definitely running short on time now. So we're going to leave the toys aside. Fair. I'll just say, I'm glad we've even got toys.
That's true.
I meant to bring it out here with me. I think I might have sent you a picture of it at some point. Nice. Is that the toys. Trick or Treat? Is that Trick or Treat? No, it's not Trick or Treat Studios. Who did that?
Syndicate. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Syndicate Collectibles.
Yeah. It's fun. It's pretty fun.
Oh, man. I was very, very Oh my gosh. Now is that set, and for anybody listening, that's the Syndicate Collectibles replica Ash chainsaw. Do you think those are sampled from the movie? Because that sounded exactly right. Like it didn't sound like some generic really chainsaw bullshit,
Yeah, they might have, because this sounds great. And I love the blood effect here. Like it's actually
it looks good. Well, good. And it has a thickness to it. It looks like it's not just
raised
paint
up and everything. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to look into that.
It's fun. It's good. It's good. And real quick, before I meant to ask when we were talking about Burn, did you get to see Bruce Campbell in the movie?
I'm trying to think. See him. Oh, he was the when they did the flashback scene, wasn't he the like? No,
I don't think so. So there's a photo on the wall, and it's just a picture of Bruce Campbell like smirking, and it's when Polly's going up the stairs on the little chair. And it's just a frame like 8x10 of his face.
Oh, in Burn.
In Burn, yes.
No, no, I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah, so when she's going up the stairs, did I not say Burn? I don't know. But yeah,
you did. You did, but when you said it, I was thinking Rise.
Well, so yeah, because he's the voice in Rise. He's the like, he's like, yeah, the book should be destroyed, in the background in the recordings, which I love. But I just laugh so hard when I see, because it's like cheesy older Bruce, of course,
Yeah.
like just hamming it up in the smile too for the photo. You have to, when you watch it again, when she's going up the stairs, you'll see it. You won't miss it. Now a lot of people did miss it, because I asked a few people and they're like, no, I didn't see that. I was like, oh man, it's great, but it also kind of takes you out for a second because you're just laughing. But it's great. It's still a great cameo.
That's the kind of Easter egg I love, though, is something that you can, because look, all the stuff with Polly in the chair is just because they're basically having to force her into it, and then at the end, when she gets hung up in it, I mean, it's all pretty good content.
It is.
So it's easy to miss like what's going on around her. As I use the word content, that's not. It's a good set piece, is what I was trying to say.
Yes.
Well, that's I think that's really about all the Evil Dead time we've got for tonight. Real quick about the toys. I'll just say I'm glad we've got toys. I made a custom Ash years and years ago out of, it's half a Trendmaster's Tarzan and half a McFarlane Spawn, like a bum or something. I can't. It was the closest thing I could find to like good pants legs.
Yeah.
So it's got the whole upper half of it is one of those Trendmaster Tarzans, and he's in mid yell. So he's kind of like got the face, and it looks a little Bruce Campbell if you Google that. I thought I had it sitting over here, and I don't.
Yeah, send me a picture.
And then I will. And then the chainsaw, I think, also was from a McFarlane figure. I don't remember which one. There was a big, tall guy that I think had a chainsaw hand. But anyway, it was all just kit bashed together. I painted it up, put a soft goods shirt on it so it could look, because there was no way to get the shirt tear right.
Yeah.
So he's got like a soft goods shirt super glued on.
Gotta do what we gotta do to have our Ashley Williams.
But now we've got McFarlane, Sideshow, Palisades, NECA, Super 7, Mezco, the recent retro style stuff from Zombie Sailor. Have you seen those?
Yeah. I have Ash over there. I haven't gotten any of the other Army of Darkness stuff yet, but I want to grab them. Like I want to grab like the well Deadite, and I think they did S-Mart Ash, right?
Yeah, they did the Pit Witch and S-Mart Ash, and I haven't opened the Pit Witch. Is incredible. It's the obviously real metal chains, but they're also like distressed, like they've got paint on them, so they look all cruddy. Really fantastic. And I'm hoping, that guy is very serious about like his quality. And I'm hoping the S-Mart Ash parts are swappable with the regular Ash, because he's got like it'd be cool to swap the chainsaw and the metal hand and the heads or whatever. So, but I haven't opened that one up yet. I haven't opened S-Mart Ash.
I need to pick them up.
I want NECA to start doing some more stuff, because they keep doing, like, I appreciate that they're getting the older characters out, but now I feel like we've got at least 2, if not 3 2-packs that are Ash and then one of the other characters.
Yeah.
And it really is getting to a point where I'm like, I've got 50 Ash figures.
I need more.
Have some faith in your buyers and just do a 2-pack of Deadites or something.
Yeah. I really liked the Ash versus Evil Dead figures that came out. Like,
they're great.
Those are fun. Those are really done well too. And I'm still mad that I don't have the Ashy Slashy puppet. I didn't order it, and now it's like stupid expensive. Do you have it? Of course you do.
I'm gonna get up right now. I don't know if you can even hear me from across the room anymore.
I can.
I'm projecting the best I can. This might be the first time the Zoom pajama pants have been seen on screen, but I mean, if you're going to get up for anything, you're going to get up for this guy. This was unfortunately, Ashy Slashy is a little dusty, wusty, but he's actually got articulation.
Oh, that's amazing.
In the arms, they're little like ball joint, like, you know how workstations, you'll have cameras or lights or whatever mounted on those ball jointed gooseneck type things. It's that in his little arms. And it's actually a very well made puppet. There's, you know, it's got your standard mouth, but there's a loop in the top so you can actually pull up rather than, you know, most mass market puppets aren't made for real puppetry. Like they're just, you know, it's just this and that's it. But this is actually constructed like a real puppet would be constructed.
That's so good.
It's fantastic. Yeah, this was a must have for me. I was like, there's no way I can't get this. And then I don't know if I can reach it from here. Let me see if I can reach it from here, because this is another like really fun thing that I looked into. Oh, will it pull past? All right, we're getting it. Everything that I may pull the sail barge off the shelf.
Don't do it.
But it's worth it for the Evil Dead podcast. All right, Kevin Nash.
Oh, is it a foam finger? That's awesome.
Yes.
Chainsaw.
And it's amazing. Literally, it goes like that's on so your cool. hand. So we went to Savannah, Georgia for a friend of ours, great band called the Casket Creatures. Everybody check out the Casket Creatures. They were playing at a brewery they were doing a vampire ball. So it was like this big, everybody was supposed to dress up like vampires, and it was a really awesome event. But I knew that my buddy Ryan was going to be proposing that night. Like that, and
yeah,
it was awesome event. Well, there's a toy store in Savannah, and I can't remember what it's called. But we're in a different town. We're going to go check out the toy store.
Of course.
And they had this just up like as decor.
Yeah.
And I asked the guy, I was like, hey, how much is that? And he was like, oh, I think it's just kind of sitting there. And I was like, well, I mean, everything has a price. And he was like, I don't know, like $15. I was like, yeah, sold. Because I mean,
out of there so fast. That's amazing.
Ash versus Evil Dead foam thing printed on both sides too.
That's so good. And it's got those stars on the pull string and everything.
Oh,
that's fun.
Dude, it's this is
cool.
I love one of my favorite things from working retail years and years ago was all the promotional stuff that I would get, like working at GameStop, working at Suncoast, like just the weird tchotchkes that you would get.
Those are the best.
I've got from working at the music store, I've got a Soulfly soccer ball. I've got from Castaway, I've got a Wilson antenna topper.
Really? That's great.
Oh, I love that. Just weird stuff that they come up with to promote.
Well, it's super rare usually too, because nobody usually holds on to that stuff.
Right.
Or really,
it's trash.
So that's fun. It's interesting. You know, it's a fun like piece for the collection.
Which reminds me, the movie theater that we saw Evil Dead Burn in had a massive poster. Like they have a larger size. It's not
like the big IMAX
40.
poster. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a really large poster. And I asked
the
girl there, I said, you don't have any more of that poster, do you? And she was like, well, come back when it's done. So I got to remember to go back to the theater. I got to keep an eye on showtimes because I need that big ass poster.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that's super cool. That like I got the small one back there. Well, I mean it's 27 by 40. I actually had bought a He-Man poster from Masters Universe on eBay, so I was like, I need to get this before the movie comes out. I don't know if it's going to shoot up or go down. Who knows? And either way, the poster is awesome. And it came in a little damaged. And I asked the dude if he could send me a new one, and he's like, I don't have any more. And he's like, you want anything else? I'm like, you got Evil Dead? And he's like, yeah, I got you. And that's why I got the Evil Dead one.
Nice.
So all right, that works. Yeah,
that's
nice
cool. Stuff. That's really cool. Well, and movie posters, because that was a big thing that I collected for years, and they're not printed in the quantities that they used to be, and they're so often not one sheets anymore. It's a different thing now. I remember when I brought my I've got a Rob Zombie Halloween 2 movie poster that a lot of the cast have signed.
Nice.
And when I brought it to Malcolm McDowell, he actually asked me, he was like, where did you get that? because these were not produced in numbers at all. And it's like, I looked it up and ordered it online. He was like, this is great. This is the first one of these I'd signed.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Like movie posters are like as special as I've always felt they are. Like now, I mean, if it's a good one and not one of these fucking Photoshop heads totem
Garbage.
pole
Yep.
things, they're like even more significant now, which is, it doesn't surprise me that he was out of the Masters one.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a fun poster. It's funny you say you have the Halloween 2 signed. I've got the House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects signed by a lot of the cast. I haven't met Rob Zombie or Sherry Moon yet, but I've got almost everybody else.
I've got Zombie on my Halloween 2 because I took it to oh shit, what was the festival after Ozfest?
Is it Hellfest maybe or something like that?
It was like Monster Energy presents whatever it was. Well, anyway, they fortunately announced beforehand that he was going to be doing a signing at the festival. Ooh. So I brought the frickin' to an outdoor amphitheater, 6 hours.
Oh,
but I was
God.
like, there's no way I'll ever have another opportunity to get Rob Zombie to sign this thing.
He just doesn't do signings, it seems like.
No, he really doesn't. And Sherry Moon Zombie certainly doesn't do a lot of signings or anything. So that I can't imagine. Probably never get that one, but
yeah,
a lot of others.
Yeah. Well, you keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe we'll get lucky someday.
Yeah.
Because we both have posters to finish off.
So to close it out, with some toy talk, what do you have a favorite or favorites from what we've gotten out of Evil Dead? I mean, we talked about that. I think, even though it's not my favorite look, I think that Ultimate Ash from Ash versus Evil Dead is probably the best Ash figure we've gotten.
It's really good, and it really feels like Bruce Campbell from that time. I think that's one of my favorites. I really like, I haven't messed with it too much yet. I don't know if I would say it's my favorite, but it's one that's popping into my head right now. I was just really excited that they released it. Was the 2-pack of Ash and his sister Cheryl, because we got her in Deadite form and having that face, because that's just such an iconic look, her in the cellar, and stuff like that. So I like that we got that in toy form. But yeah, really any of the NECA stuff really nailed it. Actually, no, I have the Sideshow Ash from Evil Dead 2, and that thing's freaking awesome. Like that one's, it's 1/6 scale. He's got the Henrietta head I got him standing on, and it's really nice.
I've got Sideshow's Army of Darkness figures, but I don't have any of their. I don't think I got any of their Evil Dead, because I think the only thing I've got is
probably 10 years ago, maybe. I'll have to look.
So this would have been.
It might even been like a third. It might not even been fully Sideshow. I thought it was because I bought it from Sideshow, but it could have been another company. They
some other company, because these are they're really great figures, because I was big into Sideshow back when their figures were still like $35-$40.
Those were the good days.
But all the Buffy, Star Wars, I mean, they were cranking out stuff, and then once it almost was like once they got the Joe license is when the price went up over 100, and I was like, I'm out. I can't do these anymore.
Yeah, it was a lot. I do have a lot of those Joes though, because they are great.
Oh, they're fantastic. I got the Zartan because I had to have Zartan, and then I got like a Cobra Sniper just because it was on clearance somewhere. And I mean, they're fantastic. The Palisades, Army of Darkness. Have you got any of those? The small ones?
I do not.
I got so lucky because I bought a few at Suncoast or Media Play, one or the other. But then one of the online toy retailers that I think doesn't exist anymore, I can't even remember what the name of it was, put everything on like 75% off clearance.
Ooh, nice.
And I managed to catch it, and I ordered like multiples of the Deadites. So I've got one of my shelves over there is like it's an Army of Darkness. It's a bunch of Deadites. Cool. It's a great little, and they're not the sturdiest figures. They feel like a smaller company from the early 2000s figures feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do
Like
know
some of that early Mezco stuff, how it felt kind of like, I'm not sure this is going to take to moving too well.
No.
But it's a fun little setup to have. And I love that scale because when you're talking about troop building, like 3 3/4 inches is it.
That's the way. You can put a bunch of stuff in there and not take up the whole house. It's not,
yep.
You know, it's so much more manageable. Yeah.
So this has been an awesome conversation about Evil Dead. Before we go, any final thoughts about the franchise?
Just keep it going, you know, like keep letting these new filmmakers take a crack at it. I like that. I like to see everybody kind of put their spin on it. You know, Sam and Bruce are doing good work with hiring these young guys to, you know, put their kind of flavor on to Evil Dead, and I love that. So I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, what's next. And I will say, go watch Evil Dead Ash versus Evil Dead, Dave. You need to go back and do that again.
Yeah, that's our homework. That's our for the listeners and the viewers as well. That's everybody's homework is go rewatch Ash versus Evil Dead, and we'll reconvene at some point in the future for a deeper dive on that one. Before we go, where can we find you online? And we know what you're up to. World War Hell is chugging along.
Yes, you find me on grindhousetoys.com. Actually, today the new website's up, grindhousetoys.com, so go check that out. And also on Instagram at Grindhouse Toys and Facebook Grindhouse Toys. So pretty easy to find me any of those places.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you had the time to do this as soon as we were able to do it. Because like I said, I kind of, after I watched it, I was like, Chris is the guy I want to talk to about this one. So I'm glad we could make it happen. Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm always sitting here just having a great time. You know, I'm a big Evil Dead fan, so, you know, like, it's no big deal. But I'm just going to go back to reading my book at the end of this episode. So, you know, hopefully nothing bad happens.
Don't read it aloud.
Oh, crap.
Smash that like button if you like Needless Things.